amazing. She sounds just like the recording.
Okay, rehearsal's over. The show's gonna be great, Saya.
1 more hour to go. Oh, what a beautiful voice.
If it isn't you, you were listening.
Are you really going to quit? I wish you'd keep singing.
Just to leave the audience wanting more. Then again, not everyone thinks of me as kindly as you do.
What?
It's nothing. Forget I said anything. Well then, I have to get ready. You do your best too.
Good evening.
Hello, yo.
Kanako.
Hey, you. Snap out of it. Go help Saya with her makeup or something.
Oh, I've taken
Now,
care
come
of
back
it.
to me. I don't care what it is. Just get to work, you lazy fool.
Okay. The boss seems more agitated than usual. Oh, Mr. Bito. Saya seems a bit down, doesn't she?
Ah, don't worry about that.
Huh?
Being talented means she has more than her fair share of critics. You know, people have been calling her the eternal diva for years now.
Yes, I've heard about that. Some people even say she's eaten the flesh of a mermaid.
It's got nothing to do with mermaids. There's an even bigger secret to how she stays young all this time.
A secret?
Forget about it. Anyway, it's about time to open. Let's put on a good show tonight.
The camera? Well, there was that overseas business trip.
Hey, that camera's pretty expensive, right?
I made sure to get a
Here
nice
you are,
one.
sir.
You know,
Who is that? And that table's candle is out.
Hello, yo.
Mina, do you have a minute?
What is it?
We've got a shady-looking customer tonight. Over there.
Yes, I thought the same thing, so I've been keeping watch. Such a weird vibe, right? But more importantly, could you go join that table?
Got it.
Be careful, though. The guest went up on stage now, just without telling anyone. I had to drag him off. We should kick him out, but apparently he's the son of some rich family. That means we can't touch him.
I'm going over. Welcome to the Scarlet Camellia. Please call me Io. Could I ask your name, please?
I'm Ryoi.
Pleased to meet you, Mr. Ryoi. Are you here to watch Saya tonight?
Watch her? It's more like I came here tonight to confirm something about her. The Scarlet Camellia.
Huh?
What's the story behind the name of this club? The Scarlet Camellia.
Oh? Are you familiar with the name Yaobikuni?
The legend of eternal youth, a mythical woman who lived for 800 years.
They say that she had a red camellia with her as she traveled the country. A fitting name for a place where women never grow old.
I heard there's an eternal diva here. Is that true?
Yes, she's called that to fit the club's image. But it's not far from reality. Saya's beauty and voice haven't changed one bit in years.
Do you believe in fairy tales?
Fairy tales?
Stories like this one. In this country, there's a fruit that grants eternal youth, the Tokijiku, and one family has passed it down for generations. But this wondrous fruit only ripens once every 100 years, which means only one person can become ageless every 100 years. And surely there are many who want the fruit for themselves. What would you do if you had it?
It's just a fairy tale, right?
What would you do?
Well, I would eat.
How about you? Do you want to live forever?
No.
I do. I want to be young forever, just like Saya.
Well, it should be given to the person whose life would have the most value, yes?
Yeah. That's not what the family thought. Instead, they gave it to the person whose life had the least value of all.
But why?
The most effective use of the fruit of youth is to study the person who ate it. If the mechanism for agelessness could be unlocked, one fruit would benefit thousands of people.
Unlocking the mechanism for agelessness? So, a test subject, basically.
Yes. They lived only to serve as a test subject for that family. The fruit was given to the wretches who could be forced to lead such an existence.
That's just horrible. Even if that research had value, it's not worth sacrificing someone's happiness for. It's really unforgivable.
I see. I suppose you're right. Damn it.
Perhaps you should slow down.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm afraid Io is needed elsewhere. This girl will accompany you instead.
No need for that. The singer, Saya, she'll be on stage tonight, right?
Yes,
Then I'll watch her alone.
as you wish.
Excuse me, please. Which table should I go to?
No, we're going to the dressing room.
That's awful. What happened to it?
This dress for Saya just arrived this morning. I hung it up with the other costumes. Then I looked away for just 1 second and this happened.
Why?
Actually, someone's been harassing Saya for several months.
Really?
At first, it was just a letter telling her to get off the stage for good. But then we started finding razor blades, even dead animals in her makeup kit. Remember when Saya took a break from practice about 2 weeks ago?
Yes, but you told us she'd caught a cold.
It was actually because someone had put disinfectant in her water bottle.
Disinfectant?
She spat it out immediately, but the chemical burns made her lose some of her high notes. I told her to take some time off.
Right. After that, you didn't perform your signature number anymore. I was curious about that. Now I know.
I'm sorry I didn't tell everyone about the harassment. I didn't want anyone to worry.
I had no idea. So that's why you're retiring.
That day, I brought coffee instead of my usual tea, so I didn't notice the smell at all. I guess bad things happen when you stray from habit.
I want you to stick with her for the rest of the day. Just make sure nothing happens to her.
Huh?
I asked Motoki to get you. I told him you're the most reliable.
Well, you're still new, so no one's asking for you yet. Sorry, but I'm gonna need you to look after Saya today.
I won't let anything get in the way of Saya's final show. Saya! Are you alright?
Kanako.
Oh no! How did this happen?
Don't worry. I'll find a new dress for her. The dress that I rejected last time is still at the tailor's, I bet.
Oh, yes, that'll work.
But it's, you know.
Is something wrong?
Nah, I'm overthinking it. Anyway, I'll go pick up the dress.
But Saya goes on in less than 30 minutes, right? Who's going to be on stage until then? What about me?
Huh?
I'll stand in for Saya. Please, let me sing.
No way.
But then the stage will be empty.
Don't get the wrong idea. The person who did this is after me. I have no idea what they'll do. If something happens to you on that stage,
But
do you know how dangerous the threats have been?
someone put disinfectant in your coffee, didn't they? And sending you razor blades and stuff. It's unbelievable. Even so,
Kanako.
that's all the more reason we can't let them win. Harassing you is the same as attacking this club. We've got to fight back. I'm sure they'd like nothing more than to see the stage empty. I understand how Kanako feels, but we can't put her in danger. I will keep an eye on the audience. If anyone tries any funny business, I'll stop them. Yeah, thank you.
It's all very sudden, but I know you can do it.
Okay.
I'll sing on that stage tonight, if it's the last thing I do. Kanako, keep them warmed up for me.
I'll show them everything you've taught me. I won't let you down.
Thank you. I'm counting on you.
Okay.
Well, I'll be off then. Io, I want your eyes on Saya the whole time.
Got it. Saya, are you sure it's safe for you to be here?
I'll be fine. No one in the club can tell that it's me up here. And there's nothing to do until the new dress arrives. Still, I wonder if my harasser is among them.
Do you have any idea who it might be?
Yes, a few ideas, in fact. I used to think that looking young was a godsend, but it's not all roses. There's just so much jealousy. But then I still have to live up to everyone's expectations. You know, I realized something.
What is it?
Even if I try to live beautifully, the jealousy will never end. And there's no way I can win against time. To satisfy everyone, maybe it's best for me to leave this stage while my beauty is intact. Then, I'd remain in everyone's memories, just the way I am now. My harasser's been telling me the same thing.
Saya! I owe so much to you and your songs.
You're exaggerating.
It's true. You saved me. I may never get to sing them myself, but your songs saved me.
That's kind of you. Now, we definitely can't let them win, can we? I must go on stage tonight, no matter what.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience. We present the timeless, the ravishing, the eternal diva, Saya. But before that, we've prepared a special program just for tonight. Give a round of applause to this young and talented singer, the future of the Scarlet Camellia, Kanako.
Kanako looks great on stage, but is this really a good idea?
It'll be fine.
Saya, shh. Thank you for...
Something wrong with the mic?
Kanako! What's the matter?
Please don't be alarmed.
What's going on? Here, help me,
She just suffered a dizzy spell. Thank you for your concern. There's no
Okay, everybody,
There's
please
no
calm
reason to
down.
worry. She
There's
just
nothing
suffered a
wrong
dizzy
here.
spell. Thank you for your concern. Please come again.
The show was canceled, and customers not involved in the case were asked to leave. That's when...
I found poison needles at the base of the mic. Small needles covered with poison were taped to it. So anyone who gripped it would get pierced. A small but lethal weapon barely visible to the eye. This mic, is this the one you always use?
Oh, this is the detective I called in.
A detective? Really? Looks more like a dancer to me.
Appearances aside, Josui here has solved many tricky cases. I asked Josui to find out who it is that's been harassing Saya.
That's enough.
An amazing detective like you should have no problem finding the killer, right?
That's the plan. The only thing we can do for the dead is to uncover the truth after all. Back to my question. Is this the mic you always use?
No, this is the spare mic. We hardly use it at all. But we do sometimes have two singers on stage. We keep it in the stage wing, connected to the mixer.
Kaneko changed mics earlier, I recall. That's the one she swapped to.
That's the main microphone.
It's the same as the spare mic I see.
It's not working.
Are you sure?
I just checked it. They're surprisingly fragile. Sometimes all it takes is a bit of water and poof, the mic's dead.
When did it stop working?
It was just fine during the rehearsal.
Oh, yeah. Saya's voice came through fine during rehearsal.
I see. Then it's possible the killer tampered with the mic sometime between the end of rehearsal and the start of the show. The killer then attached poison needles to the spare mic. Then they broke the main mic so that the victim would have to use the poisoned mic. Why would the killer do all of that? Why would the killer want to go through the trouble of killing her while she was performing on stage?
I should have stopped Kaneko from singing.
Actually, it was really supposed to be me on that stage. She might have been killed by accident, since she performed instead of me.
What was your relationship with Kaneko?
I was like a mentor to her. She joined 6 months ago with dreams of becoming a singer. I've looked after her ever since then. But now...
Hurry up and find the murderer.
Josie! I want to find the killer too. Please let me help.
You?
At this club, everyone knows who I am, so it'd be easier to get the information.
I certainly hope that's true.
And that's how I came to help this detective investigate the murder.
Sound check? Yeah, Saya and I checked all of it before rehearsal. The boss really let me have it after the last show.
Oh, that's right. The mic stopped working that day too. The sound came back right away though.
The cable's a little loose, so it comes out easily. That's why we made sure during the sound check that it was properly connected to the mixer. And I told everyone not to touch the cables.
No staff were allowed in during today's rehearsal, right? Why this sudden change?
Well, the boss told us to be extra careful so that nothing happens to Saya.
Does the boss suspect me and the rest of the staff?
Were you and Saya the only people in the club during rehearsal?
Yes, but... Just what are you getting at?
If we assume the mic stopped working in the time after rehearsal and before the show, then Saya could have broken it, yes?
What? Josie?
No, she couldn't have. I was there for both the sound check and the rehearsal. I would have seen her doing it.
Is that so? Very well.
Let's see. So Ryoe went up on stage, and then Rina, you dragged him off.
I knew it. You're the killer, aren't you? I caught this thief sneaking around.
Thief is pretty harsh. Besides, I haven't stolen a thing.
Well then, what were you trying to do?
I was just looking for the restroom, and I got lost. It's my first time here, after all. Somehow, I ended up at the side of the stage.
You went back up there?
Were you in the stage wing the whole time, up until the murder?
That's right.
Even though you wanted to go to the restroom?
I didn't want to miss the show.
It's obvious that the restroom isn't by the stage. Why didn't you just ask the staff?
It's my first time here, so of course I didn't know.
Even after I caught you the first time, you went skulking around again. He's up to something, I know it!
It's all right, Rina. You don't need to hide it. The truth is... You wanted to see Saya up close, didn't you?
Of course not.
Why were you on stage trying to get so close to Saya? You don't look like one of her fans.
I already told you. I came to check something. It's not Saya I'm after. It's eternal youth. The real thing.
What do you mean?
I told you earlier. My family has a long history with that subject.
Excuse me for prying. But what's your last name?
Shijima. The name's Ryohei Shijima.
What? You want to know if I was on the stage today?
Yes, just to be sure.
I opened the club after rehearsal ended, then attended to guests for a while. We went to the dressing room. Then I picked up Saya's dress from the tailor's. When I got back, it was already too late.
Guess he didn't have time to go on stage.
Of course not. Running a nightclub isn't easy, you know. I guess this dress was a waste of time and money.
What a beautiful dress. This is the one you rejected, right? What was wrong with it?
It's not bad, but it looks like something you get buried in, doesn't it?
I think it's the perfect dress for Saya's final show.
The other dress got torn to shreds, so I rushed to get this one.
When did that happen?
I don't know. It arrived this morning. I took my eyes off it, and suddenly it's in pieces. It's my fault, really. I was afraid someone would tamper with it, so I didn't tell anyone that it was Saya's dress. I should have just asked someone to keep a close eye on it for me.
Did we get anything useful?
I don't know if it's really useful, but we've done everything that we can.
It looks like the police won't be here for a while. Let's try and solve this ourselves.
Right. Someone has been repeatedly harassing the singer Saya. And this evening, Kanako's life was taken when she took Saya's place.
The broken main mic. And the poison needles on the spare mic. These must be the keys to the mystery. Why did the killer want the murder to happen on stage, in front of an audience?
For Kanako's sake, and for Saya too, we have to find the killer.
Now then, could you tell me what you think? What do you find most unusual about this case? It seems you've come to a conclusion.
Yes. Sorry, but thank you for gathering here.
What's this all about?
Well, I've thought about what happened to Kanako and brought you all here.
Did you find something?
Please hear me out.
Hey, what about him?
Let him sleep. I have my suspicions about him, too.
He's been talking in his sleep. Something like, I didn't want to know. I was better off not knowing.
Does he know something?
He's the only guest who set foot on the stage. Only someone who has been on stage could have poisoned the mic. So, the killer is...
Are you saying it's one of us? Including that drunkard?
Someone has been harassing Saya. In a cruel twist of events, the plot to kill Saya ended in Kanako's death instead. But what was the plot? And who orchestrated it? Tonight was to be her final show. I'm sure that the harasser wanted to stop her from singing on stage. That's why the microphone was poisoned.
But it was the spare mic that has the poison needles.
Yes. The killer attached poison needles to the spare mic, which is hardly ever used.
If the main mic had worked properly, poor Kaneko would still be alive.
That is the first critical point in this case. The main mic wasn't working, which means... The main mic wasn't actually broken.
So why wasn't sound coming through from the stage?
It must be because the mic's cable had come loose.
I definitely made sure it was connected to the mixer during the sound check. Besides, didn't you all check the microphone after the murder?
I checked it myself. That microphone was definitely broken.
You're right. Let's try this again. Sorry, Kaneko. About on days. Ended in Kaneko's death, and I'm sure that
Was the spare mic that has the poison needles?
needles
God would
main mic. The main microphone was broken during the sound check.
Wait, are you saying I did it?
But Saya was there during the sound check. She was there, wasn't she?
Well, that's right. Maybe if I was alone, but there's no way I could break it without Saya noticing.
You're right. Let's try this again. The person harassing Saya must have broken the main mic for some specific reason.
Wait, you're suggesting they broke the main mic so that the spare mic would be used instead?
Well, they could have just poisoned the main mic directly then, right?
Yes. If the person who broke the main mic and the person who poisoned the spare mic were the same.
What are you getting at?
First, I want to establish the identity of the person who broke the main mic. In other words, the person who has been harassing Saya. From what I've deduced, there are 2 clues pointing to that person. The first clue was just a casual remark. Mr. Bito, you said that you knew there was a big secret to how Saya stays young. Having discovered this secret, you decided to blackmail her.
Oh, good grief. What I know is that she puts in a lot of effort to maintain her youthful looks.
Huh? Is that the big secret?
I see the real Saya, the one who's not on stage. It's a side of her the audience never gets to see. I know how hard she works. I would never think of harassing her.
I'm so sorry! Let's try this again. The person harassing Saya. Saya, the harasser put disinfectant in your water bottle, didn't they?
Mm-hmm. About 2 weeks ago.
When we were talking, Kaneko said that someone had put disinfectant in your coffee, didn't she?
But I kept that incident a secret from everyone.
And this is what you and Saya said, boss.
It was actually because someone had put disinfectant in her water bottle.
That day, I brought coffee instead of my usual tea, so I didn't notice the smell at all.
How did Kaneko know there was coffee in Saya's bottle instead of tea, her usual drink? The second clue that points to the harasser is... The proof that Kaneko was the harasser is the fact that she ripped up Saya's dress.
Do you have evidence of that?
Huh?
Saya and I were the only ones who knew that the dress was Saya's. There's no reason Kaneko should have known.
So, Kaneko isn't the one who tore up the dress? Then who was it?
Well, I think it's about time for him to go home.
That's for sure.
Saya, the harasser put disinfectant in your water bottle, didn't they? When Kaneko spoke and there was no sound, she went to change mics immediately. Isn't that a bit strange?
What's strange about that?
There have been several occasions when the main mic's cable came loose from the mixer. Everyone who works here knows this.
Yes, but plugging the cable back in fixes the issue.
Exactly. Normally, you would just wait for that. But Kaneko went and got the spare mic immediately. That's because she knew the main mic was actually broken. So waiting around was pointless.
So you're saying Kanako was the one who broke the mic?
Yes. In other words, Kanako was the person who has been harassing Saya.
Kanako.
Thank you for...
Why would she?
Wait a minute. If Kanako was the harasser, does that mean she tried to kill Saya by poisoning the spare mic? But the one who died was Kanako. Why would she poison herself? With her own needles?
Well... Kanako. Well, she didn't know the needles were poisoned.
Now, hold on. Didn't you just say Kanako was the harasser? Wouldn't that mean she also poisoned the spare mic?
Someone else applied poison on the needles.
So what you're saying is, Kanako placed needles on the mic to harass Saya, and then someone else applied poison on the needles to kill Kanako.
Who is this someone
And
else?
remember, the spare mic is hardly ever used. Why put anything on it at all? I have no idea what Kanako or this someone else wanted to accomplish.
It doesn't make sense. But there has to be an explanation. When Kanako spoke, and there was no sound, Kanako knew about the needles being poisoned, but thought they were on the main mic. That's why she grabbed the spare mic. She thought it was safe.
I was watching her the whole time. She held the main mic just as tight. Wouldn't she have been more careful if she thought it was poisoned?
And why would she ever think the main microphone was poisoned in the first place? I don't think there's proof of that.
You know, I'm not sure. Let me think about it some more. When Kanako was... probably...
Kaneko didn't know there were poison needles on the spare mic. That's why she grabbed it without any hesitation. In other words, the person who poisoned the spare mic and the person who broke the main mic are not the same.
Josie!
Kaneko was killed by the poison needles attached to the spare mic. But why did the killer go through all that trouble to put poison needles on the spare mic and not the main mic? Io, I think you know the reason.
It's because... The poison needles were temporarily placed on the spare mic. No one would touch the spare mic, and the killer actually intended to use the needles elsewhere.
There are many other less conspicuous items on stage. If they wanted to put the needles somewhere, I'm sure there were more suitable locations.
I suppose that's true. There must be another explanation. Kanako was. The killer mistakenly attached the poison needles to the spare mic instead of the main one.
And why would they make that mistake?
The main mic remained on stage after the sound check. There's no way to mistake it for the spare mic off stage.
If the mics were standing side by side, perhaps, but it's impossible in this case.
You're right. Let me think about it some more. The main mic and spare mic had been switched before the killer attached the needles. The killer didn't notice and mistakenly put the poison needles on the spare mic.
Are you suggesting that someone else switched the mics again after that? Why would they?
I did a sound check, and after that the mic was on stage the whole time. I can say for sure that the mics weren't switched.
I must be mistaken then. I'm sorry. Let me think some more. Kanako was. The killer was afraid that someone would touch the microphone. By mistake. Right?
Exactly. The main mic gets handled by many people. Even Mr. Masuda and Mr. Bito might touch it. That's why the killer poisoned the rarely used spare mic.
But the killer wouldn't have known that Kanako would use the spare mic. In fact, it was a last-minute decision to have her go on stage.
That's right. No one was pressuring Kanako to sing at all. She asked to be on that stage. That was an unexpected turn of events for the killer.
No one set foot on stage after it was decided Kanako would perform. Which means...
That's right. It means... the spare mic was... The spear mic was poisoned after it was decided that Kaneko would sing.
That was well after rehearsal. And guess we're already seated in the club.
With so many people watching the stage, including the customers, the employees, and myself, how could the killer attach the needles without being seen at all?
Even the most quick-fingered criminal would find it impossible.
That's true. Let's try this again.
Why not? We've got all night.
The spare mic was poisoned after Kaneko went up onto the stage.
Come on, the whole audience was looking at her the moment she stepped on stage. How could anyone get close to the spare mic?
There wasn't much time between her entrance on stage and her getting poisoned. Surely the killer could have found an easier way to do it.
Let's try this again. the spare mic was poisoned before it was decided that Kanako would go on stage.
Wait a minute. So you mean the killer didn't intend to murder Kanako with the poisoned needles?
In that case, the killer's target was...
Who was it? What do you think?
I believe the killer poisoned the spare mic with the intent of killing Saya.
But isn't that strange? There's no way the killer could have known if I would use the spare mic.
Actually, I think they knew. They were sure you would use the spare mic.
Why is that?
The person who poisoned the spare mic was Saya. And the intended victim was also Saya.
I didn't want to know. I was better off not knowing.
Huh?
Saya. You were planning to kill yourself.
Why would you think that?
Saya, the Eternal Diva, your secret was found out by that man over there, Nyoe.
There's no secret to it. I've just put in a lot of effort to keep myself looking young on stage.
And what exactly is this secret that he says he found? Just the ravings of a drunkard, I'm sure.
You're right. Then... the dress you were supposed to wear tonight was ripped up. You did that yourself, didn't you? Only you and the boss knew that it was your dress after all.
This dress for Saya just arrived this morning. I hung it up with the other costumes. Then I looked away for just 1 second and this happened. I was afraid someone would tamper with it, so I didn't tell anyone that it was Saya's dress. I should have just asked someone to keep a close eye on it for me.
I can't think of anyone but you, Saya, who could have ripped up that dress.
Was there a need for me to do that?
I believe there was. It occurred to me. Boss, after hearing what you said about the dress from the tailors, what was wrong with it?
It's not bad. But it looks like something you get buried in, doesn't it?
Something you get buried in. You ripped up the other dress so that the boss would have to get the white one. With the poison needles you prepared, you wanted to die on stage wearing that beautiful burial dress. Isn't that right?
My voice is ruined.
Huh?
I never needed a mic before to fill this room with my voice. I've even sung entire nights just on my own. But 2 weeks ago, after drinking that coffee, it destroyed my voice. My precious high notes, most of all. That's why I thought of making tonight my last. I wanted to die on stage, beautifully singing my final song.
That's why you put the poison needles on the spare mic.
Yes. During rehearsal, that is. I pretended to check the spare mic. It was part of the usual checks, so Mr. Beto didn't suspect a thing, even though he was nearby.
Why the poison needles? You could have taken the poison before going on stage, for instance. What made you take all this trouble?
I thought about that, you know. But there's no telling when the poison would take effect. This was the only way to deliver a perfect swan song.
Did you know that it was Kanako who broke the mic?
It wasn't working when we started rehearsal. That silly girl. Of course I'd notice if it was broken before rehearsal.
So, When I heard your voice over the speakers, that was... That was a recording, wasn't it?
Well done. I'm impressed.
I was surprised because it sounded exactly like what I've listened to so many times.
I asked Mr. Beto to play it. I told him I wanted to save my voice for the show, so he played records at rehearsal to fool everyone.
So the mic was already broken at that point.
That's why no staff were allowed in during rehearsal.
But that's all I asked Mr. Beto to do. I did everything else myself.
Did you also foresee that Kanako would use the spare mic?
When I saw her switch mics immediately, I knew. She was the one who broke the main mic. I knew I had to stop her. Part of me believed she was getting exactly what she deserved. And so I simply watched as she died. I realized earlier that she was the one harassing me. As you pointed out, Kanako said that someone had put disinfectant in my coffee. I noticed it too. She had no reason to know that there was coffee in my bottle that day. Such a careless, silly girl. You know, I actually liked her. But she was getting close to me. Just so she could take my place on the stage. When I realized that, everything I'd done for her suddenly looked so futile, so heartbreaking.
This doesn't end well for anyone involved. By killing her, you ruined your one and only chance for a grand finale.
Everyone calls me the Eternal Diva. Do you know why? Well, it's because everyone was projecting their ideals onto me. But we all grow old. The real me and the idealized me were growing further and further apart. I can't keep it up anymore, even with the power of the spotlights. You know, I really was going to sing tonight. My song would have been legendary. Well, Motoki, I have one last favor to ask. Would you let me sing on stage one last time?
What will you sing?
A requiem just for her. I don't need my high notes for that.
But...
Let her sing, please.
Well... The Scarlet Camellia was built around you, after all. You will go on stage, just as planned. You are a true star.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, I must ask you to reconsider. Do you think Kaneko wants to hear a requiem sung by her killer?
Just let her sing. At least until the police arrive.
You haven't even called the police yet, have you? You were looking out for her. You had a feeling things would turn out like this. That's why you hesitated to call the police.
I noticed Saya had been acting strange these past few weeks. That much was obvious. We've worked together a long time.
And yet you still wanted her to sing on stage tonight. Perhaps it was your expectations that pushed her over the edge.
The police?
What the?
I called them. Restrain her at once.
Bastard!
No matter what. She mustn't be allowed on that stage. Restrain her! Now!
Josie, you might have helped us solve the case. But this was not what I wanted at all.
Even if Saya sang on stage, you wouldn't hear the beautiful voice you're hoping for.
What do you mean?
A requiem for someone she hated enough to kill. Not one note of it would be for the sake of the dead. She'd be singing purely because of her selfish desires.
I didn't want to know. So it's better off not knowing.
To be honest, I still don't know if what the detective said that night was right. Was Saya's final wish something that shouldn't be granted? What should I have done? I write this tale, dear reader, in the hope that you may enlighten me. So, Ryohei went to this nightclub in search of an eternally youthful singer. And he ran into Josie there. Why would Yayoi have this book? Oh, Yoko! How is Yoi doing now?
The smell of incense. That's from me. We light it in memory of Miyuki, Ryoi's first wife.
Eiichi's mother.
Yes. They lost her to cancer. That book looks pretty old.
It was in Yayoi's room. Have you heard anything about it? It might shed some light on what she was thinking.
I've never seen it before. But the Scarlet Chameleon nightclub, that sure does take me back.
You've heard of it?
The club closed when the bubble burst, then reopened as a theater. I've performed there back when I was acting.
You were an actress?
Yes, under the name Kyo.
Kyo?
It's a play on my name. I rearranged the letters in Yoko and got Kyo. Nothing ever came of it, but that was how I met Ryoi.
So Ryohei went back to that place after the murder. How long ago was this?
Around 10 years ago, I think. Age was catching up, I guess. I just didn't have the energy for it anymore, so I decided to retire.
He was there in the audience at my final performance.
And do you know what he said to me? It is such a shame. You've honed your craft. I was sure you'd get your big break. Cherry blossoms are beautiful even when they fall, but not just in full bloom.
That's lovely.
So I ended up leaving the stage for good, but I've found happiness with Ryoi.
Did you know the Shijima family was researching ways to stop aging?
Of course not. I didn't find out until we were married, and I couldn't care less about it.
You didn't think that it might help you stay young forever?
Many people fear growing old when they are young. I know I did. But as I got older, I started to see that it's not so bad. Actually, the years give you more to see and discover. That was another thing I learned from him.
Did you hear us talking?
Why, my father wanted to spend the rest of his life with her. I think I understand now. Well, how was the book? Find anything useful?
There was a section where Ryoi talks about agelessness in the Tokijiku. He makes it sound like a fairy tale, though.
So he does know after all, and he's been keeping it from us.
Also, something occurred to me just now while I was talking with Yoko.
What is it?
Give me some time to think. Here. Try reading this. Just the ending is fine.
All right.
This book was very important to Yayoi. I think her secret may be hidden inside it. That's it. That must be who Yayoi really is.
Yeah. Skim the important parts anyway.
The main character, Io. She's Yayoi, isn't she?
That would make Io's diva. The important person she lost 50 years ago because of that detective.
Yes. 50 years after he forced her beloved eternal diva off the stage forever, Yayoi finally got her revenge. Reading this account over and over again must have fueled her hatred for him.
She waited 50 years for her revenge?
Yes. The target of Yayoi's revenge was at the club that night. I'll bet Yayoi took revenge on Makoto Nishimari.
She hated that detective. That's why she murdered him. And?
What?
I get that Yayoi took revenge on that detective Nishimari. How is that related to this murder 50 years ago?
Well, Makoto Nishimari was Makoto Nishimari, but not really, you know?
Huh?
What I mean is, that detective... Done? I'll bet Yayoi took revenge on Josei Kusaka. Detective Josei also appears in that story set 100 years ago in the Taisho era. assuming the Taisho-era Josie, Showa-era Josie from 50 years ago, and Makoto Nishimari are all the same person,
Then there really are people who don't age.
based on what we know, that's my conclusion for now.
Do you want to ask Yaoi directly? She might be willing to actually tell us the truth.
I'll go and try again later on, but I'm not really sure if she will talk.
We could also try a different route.
What do you mean?
We'll contact the editor at Bungei Sekai and ask them to tell us about the person who submitted the story, Io. If the description matches Yayoi, then we'll have some certainty. What do you think, Akari?
It's a good plan, but that publisher's one of our rivals. I have their contact information, but...
I'll do it. I mean, I count as a writer, don't I? Tell me how to get in touch with them. I'd like to inquire about the person who submitted the account of a crime from 1972. From 1972. I feel like I've heard that date before.
Me too, actually.
What was it? 1972. Showa 47.
Then, the Scarlet Camellia reappeared in the lives of the Shijima family after the Great Kanto earthquake and the World War in 1972.
The Scarlet Camellia!
Of course! The Scarlet Camellia began committing murders again in 1972.
There has to be some connection to this story.
But why? What connection could there be?
Perhaps the Scarlet Camellia read the story. Maybe reading about Ryohei and this detective Josie reignited a desire for blood.
This magazine was published in 1973. The Scarlet Camellia resurfaced the year before that.
Oh, right. Then...
I wonder if the Scarlet Camellia was at the nightclub.
maybe seeing both Ryoi Shijima and Josie in person triggered the Scarlet Camellia.
If that's true, that means my father might have met this Scarlet Camellia.
Yes, and someone else, too. Yayoi might have met the Scarlet Camellia 50 years ago.
Excuse me, there's something I should tell you.
Sure. What is it?
It's about the skeleton under the tree. It was Mr. Shijima who uncovered it.
My father?
Yes, he dug under the cherry tree and out popped those old bones. I don't know why he was digging there, but...
I see.
I didn't want to say anything and cause trouble, but then Mr. Shijima got poisoned, and that detective got murdered, and I got scared, thinking those bones might be cursed. I just thought you should know.
I see. Thank you, Takehiko.
Ryoi must have known there was a skeleton buried under the cherry tree, right?
I'm going to see my father. Maybe he'll regain consciousness. I'm also curious about the Tokijiku mentioned in this story.
I'll go with you. I'm worried about you going by yourself.
I'll go talk to Yayoi about this 50-year-old case.
Okay, but be careful.
About what?
This place is pretty big. When I was a kid, I got lost one time and ended up in this weird room.
I'll be fine. I'm just going to the storehouse.
All right, see you later.
I wonder. What did you bring me this time?
I brought this. Is the detective you killed the same person as Josie in this story?
If I said yes, you wouldn't believe me, would you?
Still being evasive, I see. Are you the Scarlet Camellia?
What is this about?
I believe this Scarlet Camellia is connected somehow to today's incidents.
You think that this person killed the detective?
I don't know about that. Yayoi, will you tell me what you know?
If that's what you want. Here. These have been in this storehouse for a long time. You might find what you're looking for.
Could these be? They were Yoshino's handwritten manuscripts, the continuation of that story published in Shinsei Nen. It was 6 months after the murder at the private auction. In that time, I stayed close to Josie and continued investigating the stolen Tokijiku and the mysterious Scarlet Camellia. But I wasn't able to find any meaningful clues, and I grew more anxious with each passing day. That was when I received a letter from my uncle Azon.
Let's take a break.
I'm sorry.
Could you show me the letter again?
Yes.
Please allow me to attend this family event. Your father's life may be in danger.
He knew where we were, so he could have seen us in person instead of sending a letter.
He probably thought you just ran away from him again. I hate to admit it, but your uncle's handwriting is exceptional. You can tell he had a good upbringing.
In his letter, my uncle called on me to take part in the family's succession, where the next head of the Shijimas would be chosen. Family succession. What does it involve? The letter also mentioned that my father, Ine Shijima, would be present. I was excited to see father again, but then I recalled the urgency in his voice when he ordered me to leave the house, and for a moment, I wondered if I'd made a mistake.
Take this and leave this place now.
Huh? Is someone after this Tokijiku?
This is my way of making amends, Yoshino. I'm sorry.
Did anything happen to him? Was my father all right?
The cold will get us if we stay in one place too long. Let's go.
If only we had some rice porridge. That'll warm us up a bit.
Rice porridge?
When I was younger, my father taught me how to make it, something my mother often made long ago, he said.
I see.
Actually, I don't know very much about my mother. I've missed her so badly. But my father never told me anything much about why she left us. My family's hiding something. I've always felt that way, ever since I was a child. Maybe it has something to do with the Tokijiku. Josie, you know something, don't you?
Let's go.
Josie wouldn't tell me anything, but that look of sadness only made me even more anxious. May we come in?
This way, please. Welcome. Miss Yoshino Shijima, I presume?
Yes, I'm Yoshino.
I beg your pardon. You're Yoshino Shijima. I am Misao Jinba, the innkeeper. And this is?
My companion.
Do you wish to share a room?
No, we'll take separate rooms if they're available.
That shouldn't be a problem. Now, if I could get your names here?
Looks like it was written with a fountain pen.
My uncle is already here, I guess.
It must have been cold outside. The winds from the mountains make it especially chilly around here.
Looks like it'll start snowing soon, too.
Oh, you'll find a charcoal brazier in every room. The baths are not far from your rooms. I'll be back again to show you later. The women's bath looks out onto the river, so you get a lovely view of the winter landscape.
Long time no see, Yoshino.
Where's my father?
Gane arrived yesterday, ahead of everyone.
Has something happened to him?
You can go see for yourself.
Josie, please wait here.
This is all your fault. How will you take responsibility for this if it ruins the Shijima family?
There's no need for a successor. It all ends with me as it should. I can't burden Yoshino with this.
Have you forgotten what our mission is?
I don't need to hear any of this from you!
Stop fighting! Uncle! Father!
Yoshino, what are you...
It's been too long, Father.
So you decided to join us after all.
Why did you come back?
I invited her. She needs to be here for the water lantern ceremony.
I said it's not going to happen, you insolent...
That's not for you to decide!
Enough! Get out.
Remember what I said, Gene. You know what happens if you refuse to go through with it.
Hey, son. You've gone too far.
I'm sorry for coming back, Father.
And I'm sorry you had to see all that. You look well, better than I'd imagined.
You also look well, Father. More importantly... What is the Shijima family's mission?
Yoshino. I am very happy to see you. But you shouldn't be here.
Father, I've brought a companion, someone who has done a lot for me. Come in. Father, this is Josie Kusaka. This is my father. What's with you two?
Oh, nothing. Please excuse me. My daughter says you have been looking out for her. I hope she hasn't been too much trouble.
Not at all.
Yoshino. there's no need for you to be a prisoner to the Shijima name. Go out there and live the life you want. You said you wanted to be an author, right?
Yes.
Then don't stop until you become one. There will come a time when women are truly free to carve out their own paths. I'm sure of it.
Father.
Josui. As Yoshino's father, I realize this may come across as a selfish request. But please, do take good care of my daughter.
I will.
Josie, I can't thank you enough. I believe that made my father feel better. Josie? What's wrong?
Nothing. But there's something I must discuss with your father. Yoshino, go on ahead without me.
What is there to... Josie? Something only my father knows about?
You can't leave. I don't want to deal with all this.
What's the matter, Uncle?
An emergency patient.
On this day?
Well, thanks to Genne, there won't be a family event for me to miss.
And what should I do?
You've come all this way. You might as well stay the night.
What about the lantern ceremony?
Yes, go ahead with it. Saita, someday you'll be responsible for the Shijima family. Make sure everything goes smoothly. Could I have something to write with?
Of course. Here you go.
If anything happens, send word to this address. Well, I'll leave the rest to you.
Fine.
Excuse me.
A selfish ass. And poor Towako, you have to suffer too because of him. Anyway, I'm sure he's paying for the rooms, so please make the most of it.
I don't want to cause any trouble.
The lantern ceremony. Better start preparing for it, we'll be late.
But I wonder why he doesn't seem eager about it. Towako, I'm sorry for how my uncle acted.
You don't have it easy either, do you? Being summoned here out of the blue?
And I still haven't been told what the purpose of the lantern ceremony is.
It's not hard to imagine. We use fire to send off the dead.
Our ancestors, you mean?
Who knows? I'm not a member of the Shijima family.
I can't believe we're doing the lantern ceremony by ourselves. What's the point?
Well, we don't have a choice. My father told us to do it, so we have to.
Well, your father's in a tough spot too. I doubt your ancestors would be thrilled to have a runaway daughter and some outsider sending them off.
But that's enough, Ayame.
What? It's the truth, isn't it?
Excuse me. I'll be in my room.
It's because of those things you said.
Why are you taking her side? You men are all hopeless.
Let's send these off. Yoshino, you're not coming back, are you?
I'm very sorry. It's selfish of me, I know. But being the head of this family? No, that's too heavy a burden. And now that burden falls to you, doesn't it? I think that would be much better for the Shijima family.
My father would never choose me as the successor.
Why?
Because I'm his dear son.
What do you mean? Do you want to leave the family too, Saito?
No, it's not that. It's not that at all. It's not something to be thankful for.
What?
I suppose it's time you learn the truth. The true nature of the Shijima family. And the true meaning of the lantern ceremony.
Our true nature?
You know that we've been receiving the Tokijiku from the Sakaki family for many generations, right?
Yes. And they were wiped out over 10 years ago by someone who wanted the Tokijiku.
The Sakakis were the stewards of an important ritual, you see. There was a single tree growing in their gardens. The fruit of this tree was known as the Tokijiku. Hundreds of years ago, the Shijimas began the research on ways to stop aging using the Tokijiku provided by the Sakaki family. The Shijima's goal was to make everyone ageless. So every 100 years, a family member was chosen to consume the Tokijiku and become the subject of that research. But the way these subjects were treated was... they were essentially... human sacrifices.
Human sacrifices?
They had to endure all manner of abuse. It's no wonder their spirits were soon broken. Then the Sakakis, who took pity on the test subjects, offered to send each one off to the afterlife after 100 years. This is the origin of the succession. In other words, the Shijima's cherry blossom ceremony and the Sakaki's water lantern ceremony.
Then that would mean... Gene, my father, is an ageless test subject?
You must have realized it on some level, surely. Gane doesn't age. He's been alive for over 100 years. Today's lantern ceremony should have been a send-off. As you know, the Sakakis are no more, so now the Shijimas are in charge of both events. But Gane refuses to go through with the succession. He means to end our traditions.
Father...
I could never say this to my father's face, but I also think the research needs to stop. And the Shijima family has done even more reprehensible things.
What else is there?
Why do you think the Sakakis were suddenly wiped out over 10 years ago? It was the Shijimas who attacked them. 14 years ago, the Shijima's entire store of Tokijiku was lost. So, they decided to take all of the Sakaki's Tokijiku by force and killed them. And their home was burned to the ground. The Tokijiku that you left with, the one that was stolen from you, was the last of that ill-gotten hoard.
The Shijimas burned down the Sakaki's home, and father? A human sacrifice who doesn't age? Is that why he told me to take the Tokijiku and run away? But even if I'm free, my father could never leave the Shijima family.
What are you going to do about this?
I said I was sorry, didn't I?
Sorry isn't enough. I can't do anything without them. You know that, right?
Yes, I do. But calm down, Ayame.
How do you expect me to be calm like this? What are you going to do about it?
I'll go look for them later, alright?
Later. Always later. That's what's wrong with you.
Yes, I know.
Something happen?
Are you
I
really
don't
sorry?
know.
Please,
When I heard voices outside, I found them. Like this.
Come on,
What are
can't
you
you
going
just
to
forgive
do
me?
about it? You need to take
My
responsibility.
dear guests, is something the matter?
Sorry. I know it's late. This oaf bumped into me in the hallway and knocked my glasses off, and they fell out the window.
I already apologized. I didn't do it on purpose.
I know. In that case, go get them already. I can't see anything without my glasses.
You expect me to go looking for them in the middle of the night? It's pitch dark out there.
There are many places near the river where you might lose your footing. It would be best not to go walking down there at night.
I'll go find them first thing in the morning, alright?
Honestly, you're absolutely useless.
Very sorry.
It's okay.
Why don't we all go look together?
No, don't worry about it, don't worry about it. She'll only get more upset with me if you helped. I never should have married her. Oh, don't tell Ayame I said that. Oh, excuse me. Ayame!
Please rest well.
Maybe I should go talk to Father. Father? Are you awake? Tomorrow it is, then.
Morning, Yoshino.
Good morning.
I smell of drink, do I? Sorry about that. After the lantern ceremony, the night manager and I had a few rounds in the dining hall. Before I knew it, it was morning.
I see.
Anyway, I'm going home. Certainly don't want this outsider to overstay her welcome.
Did something happen between her and Uncle Azon?
It's fine. Don't worry about it. I like accommodating Azon and his whims. The life of a flower is so short. Go find love while you're young, okay?
Life is short, huh? What about flowers that last forever? Josie. Good morning.
Morning.
How was your night? I had trouble falling asleep.
So did I.
You too?
Good morning, Miss Yoshino.
Is something wrong?
I went to wake Mr. Shijima this morning, as I usually do, but he still hasn't answered the door. He requested a wake-up call at 7 o'clock every morning. In fact, he was already awake when I went to his room yesterday.
No, wait. Get an A.
What on earth? It's as if they were put here to keep people out. Father! Father!
We're coming in.
What's that sound? Father! 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 Father!
Huh. There's no one here. Seems the murderer escaped through this window. Just a moment too late. Inform the police. Quickly.
Yes, of course.
Father!
His kimono is in disarray. He tried to fight back. A long, thin wound. It looks like he was stabbed once with some type of blade. The body is already completely stiff. The murder must have taken place yesterday. During the lantern ceremony, or possibly before that.
My father was killed by the Scarlet Chameleon. Tomorrow it is then. If I had just stayed with him.
This is my fault. It's not your fault. I'm truly sorry.
If my father was fated to meet his end here, perhaps fate brought me here as well.
Yoshino.
I'll do whatever I can do to find whoever killed my father. That's how I'll repay my father for having faith in me. And I will carve my own path.
I understand. We'll find the killer.
Thank you so much. This murder involves the Shijima family. Let me handle the investigation. What do you mean, don't inform the police?
Well, I got in touch with your uncle earlier. He said he'll be back around noon, and the police must not be told anything until then.
Why?
Yoshino, my father booked the entire inn. We're the only guests here. Something goes wrong, and a Shijima could be named the prime suspect. You see the problem, don't you?
Not at all. What's important is that we find the killer as soon as possible.
Oh, I'm not suggesting we cover up anything. I'm just saying it's not too late to inform the police after we get our facts in order.
In that case... Whoever killed Father, I will uncover the truth. You'll help me, won't you?
You? What can you do?
For a start, please tell me what you were doing this morning.
I was in my room. I was waiting for Saeta to come back from the riverbank.
I was at the riverbank all morning searching for Ayame's glasses. I found them downstream. They got caught on a piece of driftwood, thankfully.
No one has a solid alibi for this morning, around the time when someone escaped from my father's room. Toako was already gone, but she left the lantern ceremony early. Then she drank with the night manager in the dining hall until morning. The night manager confirmed that they were together all night.
We still don't know when Gene was murdered. Identifying the killer this way might be difficult.
Right now, our only clue is the rope tied to the railing outside that window. Let me investigate some more. The inn staff kindly moved my father's body. I'm sure he would have found this room too cold.
The killer murdered Gene yesterday at night, then returned to this room in the morning. So the question is...
what did they come back to the room for? That is the missing link, right?
Perhaps they realized some incriminating evidence had been left behind. Or are they searching for something else?
Something like...
There aren't any potential hiding places either.
Why come back when it's light out, instead of under the cover of night? Something might be missing from this room. It won't turn on.
As I thought. The light bulb in this room was burned out. That's why the killer had no choice but to come back in the morning.
But as long as they had a light source, they could have searched in this room at night.
That's true. But it might have been something hard to find with just a flashlight or a lamp.
What could be worth the risk?
Has anything changed in this room since yesterday?
Oh. The ashtray is missing. My father was a smoker, so it's odd not to see one in this room.
The ashtray?
The killer got out through this window, using this rope. It looks like there's something tied to it.
Wait, don't pull it up. I'll go down to the riverbank and see.
Did you find anything?
Yes, there's a cast iron kettle tied to the end of the rope.
A kettle?
Yeah. You can pull it up now. I'll look around and see if there's anything else.
This is heavy.
Yoshino! Look, it's an ashtray! I'll bet it came from that room.
So that would mean the killer took it, but dropped it during the escape?
Mr. Eizan Shijima has arrived.
How on earth is Gene dead? Murdered at that! What are you gonna do about it?
It isn't our fault.
What's that?
Please calm down.
Who the hell are you?
Trust me, I won't. Let the killer get away with this. My father, Gene, was killed at an inn, where a Shijima family ceremony was held. Sometime yesterday, someone stabbed him in the chest.
Early this morning, we heard the sound of someone escaping when we rushed into this room. The rope found hanging from the window must have been left behind by the killer.
Whoever killed father must still be in this inn. We can't let them escape, can we? I will do whatever it takes to uncover their scheme.